Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant, and I believe in the boundless potential within each of us. Join me as we dive into transformative conversations that not only inspire growth, but compassion with a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Let's embark on this journey together, unlocking all the power within and creating a life of purpose and fulfillment. This is the Dana Grant Show, where your story matters and your voice is heard, and I cannot wait to dive in. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where we really focus on heart-centered conversations and personal and financial growth. Today, we have an exceptional guest, one of my favorite humans, and this exceptional human is Jamil Damji. He is an international renowned real estate investor, entrepreneur, passionate about helping people achieve and create generational wealth through real estate. He is also the co-founder of KeyGlee, a real estate wholesaling outlet that operates in over 118 markets, with over 4,000 active members right now. You might recognize him on A&E's hit show, Triple Digit Flip. And today we're going to not only be discussing Jamal's journey and the power of real estate, but how you can profit ethically, strategically, and in this booming market, and when it's not, the ebbs and flows of the tide. So, hey, let's welcome Jamal to the show today. Welcome. Jamil Damji, welcome to the Dana Grant Show. I am thrilled to have you here.
Likewise, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, one of my favorite humans on the planet. I profess that. I love your energy. I love how you show up. I love how you connect. I love what you do in the world.
Thank you. I love everything you're doing as well. So I think birds of a feather, right? We're here doing our best to light people up, show people their potential, well, help people understand that they have potential way beyond what they may imagine for themselves, and then kind of let the world become its best version, and some way, somehow have an impact in help shaping that. So that for me is the fun part about it all.
Oh yeah. And I'm watching you do that on a daily basis. As a real estate investor, it's an interesting take that I watch your personal growth and how you're connecting this heart-centered action. And you sound like a life coach out there, kind of melted into a financial wealth advisor and a financial investor. And you're really helping thousands of people change their wealth stories.
I appreciate that. And I haven't never heard it described like that, but I accept that and I receive it. And I think that's awesome. I'm a student of life, and I have watched my own world evolve, and, coming from a place where I grew up without a lot. My mom and dad worked really hard, but my sister and I literally had to raise ourselves because our parents worked so much. And that gave us a lot of freedom, but then also put us in situations where we faced a lot of danger, and we both ran, into it at times and away from it at other times. And we've both become so much better because of it. And the one thing that I've noticed about people who are on the path of, actualizing themselves in a spiritual way, they tend to believe that doesn't coincide with being financially abundant. It's this like guilt that, oh my goodness, if I want to be closer to God, I need to be farther away from money. I need to be farther away from material things or comfort. And I think that's absolutely not the case. I feel that if you look out at the natural world and you see how animals behave, and the birds and everything out in our environments, it's all abundant, right? Like the trees have an abundance of leaves. There's an abundance of grass and whatnot for the caterpillars to munch on. There's just an abundance of everything. And the truth is we are the same thing. We're a creature of our creator, and we are connected to everything, to each other. And that doesn't exclude us from being able to have a beautiful, abundant and very full life, and that means financially as well. And I think that a lot of people who are in the world of making money and doing great things with their investments and their time, and they can think in these real strategic ways that allow for so many beautiful things to come into the world and so much value to be created in the world. They feel like because they're so connected to their abundance and so connected to their money, that they really can't live in that spiritual life, because they feel like, well, I'm this, I can't be that. And
Right.
I don't believe either path is necessarily exclusive of the other. And so once we find that middle way of being able to say to ourselves, I have every right to be abundant, I have all the right to live in beautiful homes, to
Mhm.
have beautiful things, to provide for my kids all of the opportunities that I would like for them to have, but at the same time walk with my creator, understand why I'm here, or at least try to understand why I'm here and how I serve people. And I think that if we all, in whatever respective careers we have, if we all find a way to weave it in together, we could have more full, enjoyable experiences. And that really is what I'm trying to create and show people that it's okay to be.
Wow. I love the way that you said that. It's, the mindset of I am spiritually guided and connected, but the law of relativity is it is what it is. And we connect the stories. And the story is you can have both. It's an abundant universe and it's abundant in spirituality. It's abundant in money is just going to follow whatever it is what you're desiring but the way you centered yourself in the real estate market, and I know it's ebbed and flowed for you. You've
Mm-hmm.
had success and you've had bottom out. What has kept you? Your success is remarkable. I'm watching you out there and I'm thinking, what keeps you lit up out there to keep doing and showing up and expanding like you do?
The stories, when I get to connect with somebody and I hear where they've come from, where they were, and I
Mm,
get to see this transformation, and I get to see somebody just like I was once upon a time, lost, and I didn't have a skill, I didn't have a way, I didn't have what I had guides and mentors, but I didn't realize they were guides or mentors until I got to the other side of the learning. But
right.
the reality is I always felt like I was alone in it. And because I was alone, I felt like I was alone in it, even though I wasn't. That to me was scary. And when I get to see people and share with them, what I've done, and then see them take a step, and it's a leap of faith all the time, because the reality is entrepreneurship is counterintuitive, or actually in opposition to our survival instincts, right? Because it can crush your ego, it
Every
can make
day.
you financially unstable, it really can put you in that place of, what am I doing? And when you're in that, when you're faced with the survival instinct and the survival mind, and your body and the chemistry of your body, which is then creating, some forward momentum and action, is telling you this is not what you should be doing. Look at how many times you've been rejected today. Look at how hard this is. Look at how the people in your world are telling you you're crazy. Listen to the ones who are telling you you're crazy. You're crazy. You shouldn't be doing this. The right thing to do is to accept that you aren't really that great, accept that you should
Yeah.
just work a 9 to 5 job, accept that this is the best you're going to have for dinner on a Friday night. Accept it, because
Mm,
this is what you were born to be. And
mm.
that's the thing we're fighting against. And it's not just us, it's not just our biology, it's not just our chemistry, it's everyone around us. And that frequency can attack us all the time. But the trick I found is to have your internal guidelines set at such a high frequency or such a high level that even when you're being brought down, you're still able to see a higher vantage. You're still able to hold on to hope, onto faith, onto something that can swing you across the gap of the unknown. And that is the scary thing, right? That's the ride we're all on. And some of us jump on the swing and we take the ride, and some of us let go and fall in the canyon, and it's done.
Yeah.
And some of us make it to the other side and we're like, wow. And some of us just never swing.
Right.
And I think the ones who never swing look at the ones who they think fell in the canyon, not realizing that there was an invisible ledge that caught them, and even they made it to another spot. But the reality is that until you quit, until you decide to say I'm giving up, there is no end to it. You never really fail at it, right? So
I love that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm I could be wrong, but I feel like we all have something that is really unique that we are supposed to share with everyone. And we're supposed to be handsomely paid to do that.
Mm. I love that. I love that you said that, because what I was looking down and what I highlighted was your emphasis on ethical investing.
Yeah.
You focus on that. Tell me about that. What does that mean, ethical investing?
Well, you know, in real estate, especially the type of investment strategy that I am in, which is called wholesaling, right? This is where we're looking for distressed property or people in distressed situations.
Right.
And we acquire an opportunity that has some potential in it, right? You
Mhm.
don't just buy real estate for the sake of buying real estate. If you want to make money in real estate, you need to buy real estate correctly. Now, that opens you up to a lot of temptation and a lot of opportunity to take advantage of people. The
Mm.
reality is when you're dealing with property in distressed condition or people in distressed situations, there's a lot of leverage there. And it's up to the person who's in that seat to understand what's fair, what makes sense in business, and what's just being a complete a-hole. Like, this is where I'm taking advantage of somebody. This is where I'm being super fair.
Or where they're saying
And
it's just business. It's just
yeah,
business.
there
Yeah.
that I don't believe that lying to people or being manipulative or deceptive is just business. I feel like if you can tell the truth and say the thing and express your value to a situation and what you're hoping to achieve out of it, and show the risks of what you're doing and what the reward would be for taking the risk, the benefit to the parties who are all involved, and everybody's in agreement that you're being ethical, fair, and you are deserving of what you're being
Mhm.
awarded for the process, that is ethical investing. That is where everybody's looking at each other saying, I'm happy you made money. I'm happy you got your house sold. I'm happy that this is going to be a good project for you. And we're
Yeah.
all walking away happy that we're out of this situation or into a situation, and we're all for the better for it towards the end of it.
Right.
And when you're in a deal and somebody leaves the deal feeling taken advantage of, that's unethical. And it can happen in any kind of contract agreement, or you look at the entertainment business and all these things coming out in the world
Yeah.
of these people who have taken advantage of folks, right?
Oh,
And you
yeah.
can see how power was used to do something that was untoward to another human being. That can happen in entertainment, that can happen in real estate, that can happen in hamburgers and restaurant chains. It can happen everywhere. But it's
Everywhere. Yeah.
everybody's responsibility to look at themselves in the mirror and say, did I treat the other party today the way that I would treat me?
Mm. What do you
And
do
that
every day to support that? Every day you show up, and I'm thinking of AstroFlipping. There's over 4,000 members in there that you've got to support, and you're supporting them, showing up, saying you're going to get more no's than yeses, and you're acclimating and normalizing no rejection, and you're making it fun and profitable.
correct. I am teaching the reality of this is hard, right? It's going to be hard. You're not going to just
This is
wake up
hard.
today and say, oh, I'm going to make one phone call today. That's going to lead to an amazing opportunity, which is going to lead to a $10,000 check, which is going to lead to everybody in my house thinking I'm a hero, which is going to lead to, fame and fortune. Like, that's not how it works. What's going to happen is you're going to get yelled at. You're going to get told to leave people alone. You're going to get hung up on. You're going to be,
Yeah.
you're going to be made to feel like you're less than. And then you will find somebody who needs you.
Mm.
And that is the person we're looking for. We're not looking for the people who have nothing better to do with their day but to be nasty. We're not looking for people who are not needing us. We're looking for somebody who is in a situation or dealing with a property that is requiring a cash solution. And that's where we play. That's a needle in the haystack kind of situation. But the reality is, and a friend of mine, Dolph DeRoos, he comes from the rich dad, poor dad world. And he says something I love. He says, the deal of a lifetime comes around every week.
Mm.
And that's real. I mean, that's true. When you live in a world with this many people and this many things and this many opportunities and this many structures and this many homes and this many commercial properties, there are so many situations, so many stories, so many families, so many, like right now, for instance, not to, to out of current events, but there is an entertainer right now who is in a lot of legal trouble who's selling an airplane. Right. Okay. So this person's who's in a lot of legal trouble selling an airplane. If you're in the business of buying airplanes, there may be an opportunity there for you to have a conversation with the management team of this person and
That's
maybe
true.
get
Yeah.
a great deal on the airplane. Now,
Right.
is that a bad thing? No, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
The reality is again, you look at situations, you look at what the need is, and if you can solve a problem, then great. The thing that I think that's the most important about it is that always reverse the role, right? I have sold things for instance, I was living in Los Angeles after I had lost, millions of dollars in real estate in my first go around. I became a stand-up comedian for 4 years. I didn't make it,
I'm
but
so
I
glad you
tried.
you did that because I love that part of your story. It's one of my favorite and most surprising, but you are so funny. I love your
I
sense of humor.
thank you for that. I'm glad you think so. My daughter, not so much. She's like, stop, dad. Those jokes are terrible. But I'm in Los Angeles. I'm having a really hard time surviving, making money. Comedians really don't get paid until you're like Kevin Hart, so
Yeah.
you're pretty broke for the most part. And I had this really expensive watch that came from my past life when I had, made millions of dollars in real estate, after losing it. And it was like the one thing I had left. And there was a month where I couldn't pay rent and I was in trouble. And I had spent, I think maybe $10,000 or $12,000 on the watch. And if I had really tried to sell it to, on the open market myself or put out an ad or do a thing, and if I had time, maybe I could have gotten $8,000 for it if I had had the time, but I needed the money today. And
Yeah.
so there was a person who gave me $3,500 for the watch, and I was so grateful to get the $3,500 for that watch because I was able to pay for my rent, I was able to fill up my fridge with food, and it got me to the next month. And
Yeah.
the next month, things changed for me, and life got better, and I was able to get out of the spot. But I had that lifeline, and there
Yeah.
was the person there who was going to profit off of being able to help me. But
Right. Yeah.
I'm totally good with it. God
But
bless
you're
that
focused
guy.
on the not the
Yeah,
loss, you're focused on the lifeline.
correct.
Focused on the lifeline. And
Yeah,
I think that is such a powerful part of your story, how you keep moving forward. I remember having to sell a very big diamond ring once and thinking, and selling it for, I mean, literally, it's worth, I don't know what it was worth, a lot. It was a 10 carat diamond. It was a big ring. Kept
wow.
falling, and but I sold it to someone. I needed the money.
Yeah,
It wasn't even 1% of what that ring was worth, but I was able to release it because the ring didn't serve me, the situation didn't serve me, and I needed the money to move forward.
right.
But a lot of people said, "How could you sell that ring? You could have gotten so much more. You could have held out." But I was so grateful that it served me. So what you just said, if people can keep moving forward and releasing the attachment to things and allow the just that the universe came in, it's an abundant universe and it served me. It gave me what I needed. And now I'm rolling again. Now I'm flush again.
Exactly.
I'm going. I
You know,
love
it's
it.
it's funny you bring up attachment because there's So I was just at Burning Man. Are you familiar with what
Oh
the
yeah. Oh
Burning
yeah.
Man? And I'm not a Burning Man kind of person, right? I'm not a burner. It was my first time ever going. A friend of mine invited me to come, and she told me, "Listen, Jamil, this is totally outside of your wheelhouse. You're going to be off grid. It's going to be a couple of weeks. You're going to have to go and get your hands dirty. You're going to be working. You're going to build a camp. You're going to live in an
Yeah.
RV with strangers. It's going to be very different from the life that you have, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be good for you." And I'm up for a challenge, and I'm up for things good for me. So I say yes. And I of course went through a lot of emotional turmoil. I got triggered in ways that I wasn't realized I could be triggered in. So it was a real self exploration for me, because I got to pinpoint,
Mm,
parts of myself that I could do better at, right? But the
right.
one thing that I think really stood out to me was about what happens on the playa out there. There are people who spend millions and millions of dollars to create these art installations that are just out in the middle of the desert for everybody to come and enjoy. What I
Mm,
didn't notice on those installations was a name. I couldn't identify who was the creator of this art piece. Who made this? Why
right.
is this so beautiful? And how much did this cost? I would look at this and say this probably took all of a year and maybe cost $2 or $3 million to make,
Yeah.
and it was done just for the enjoyment of the people who were there. And at the end of the week, they burnt it. They burnt it and walked away.
Yeah. They
And when
released
I,
it. It's
yeah,
done.
and when I
It's
see
done.
that, I think, what is happening? Like, where does the money come from? And why is this person not attached to it? Because I would have a very hard time doing that still. With all the work I do, I don't know that I could just do something for the sake of doing it, spend millions of dollars in the process, and then set that thing on fire and walk away from it. But what a lesson that was for me to see that that's possible, that I think I have an abundant mind, but there are people who have such abundant minds that they can do that. And that's a goal. That's the next level for me, right? Is to
Yeah.
live in that frequency.
Live in that frequency of abundancy, but not be attached to it. Is they say that's something close to enlightenment. And you're right. I see a lot of people that evolve there, but it's an evolution. Like you're like, wow, I'm witnessing something I have not felt before. This, and I'm still feeling the pull and the tug of my attachment. And this is where you can really look and see where your attachments are
Yeah,
and where you resist letting go. I
for
always say,
sure.
look there first. Wow. I love that you went to Burning Man. I love that you had that experience. And I bet that you will never be the same because of it.
Oh no, for sure I won't. Because before I left, I thought I had grown so much, and while I was there, I realized I have so much more to do. I'm like,
Ah, ah,
I really got to see myself, and I think the reality is awareness is key. You got to know what your blind spots are. You have to know where you have work, and everybody should
mm,
do something in their life once a year, I think,
mm,
that is hard, that gives you perspective, that unveils or shows you the wound,
yeah,
your most needed, the wound that you hold that needs healing most. And
right.
if you can do that even once a year, to where you can uncover it, see it, heal it, love it, and move on, then what happens in 5 years? What happens in 10 years? Who are you
Mm,
at the end of that? Because you've created just so much growth and so much healing, and that is, it transfers to the people around you,
right.
right? When you do better for you, everybody around you becomes better.
Oh, that kind of vulnerability, people will often open up and do that and then retract back like with vulnerability hangovers is what they call it because they've shared and they've done so much. But there's nothing more that I love than that transparency of watching somebody show up and say, you know what? And I learned this and I'm showing up again and I'm reinventing again. And I'm not who I was last week and I'm not who I was even yesterday because something profound happened. Like you said, every week every day there's this incredible opportunity, but there's an incredible opportunity to choose love, to choose joy, to choose I'm not going to take it personally.
Right.
I'm just going to go simple. I like simple, like the four agreements. Nothing I take personally. It's not about me. It's about what people are holding in them. And so
Yeah.
you're finding a way to not only put yourself in the face of adversity and rejection, and teach people how to normalize it. But hey, we can actually make money, have fun. And I watched your community. It's it looks like a lot of high vibrational energy.
It is. It's a high vibe group of people, and they're making lots of stinking money.
Yeah.
And that is so fun. There's a nurse. She was burnt out from COVID, and she joins the community a couple of years ago. And I could see she worked in the ER. She had like 4 kids hanging off of her. She would come onto the coaching call because my coaching calls go late. They start at like 5 and
Yeah.
they don't end till like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And so she would come onto the call and it would be late at night and all of the lights would be off. And because all her kids were sleeping, she would have the glow of her computer on her face and she'd be whispering into the computer, asking her question on what to do next about this
Wow.
deal. And now she has since been able to leave the job at the hospital. She averages $40,000 to $50,000 a month in income. She doesn't have to sit in the dark now to talk to me because she can. She actually has another room. She moved. She moved into a home that has multiple rooms in it. She left a marriage that was really not serving her, and she felt she was tied to because of
Right.
finances. She freed herself and she's loving her life. She's free. She's abundant. She's making all this money. She's loud. I mean, everything about her transformed. And
Yeah.
then that's just not her. There's thousands of them like her that I get to see. And to me, that's another form of income. I get it. It's called emotional income.
Yeah.
And I'm an addict of the emotional income. I get so much from that. It really just lights me up.
Yeah, you can feel that vibration. I can feel it. So who would be the ideal client, person, human for that community? I mean, I'm sure they're all walks and shapes and
Yeah.
but you mentioned the nurse. Who would be the ideal person?
I mean, I've had I mean, in my community right now, I have an executive producer of a major television network in the United States in my community. I have former convicts in my community. I've got people who work 9 to 5 jobs as teachers, firemen, police officers. I've got a Homeland Security officer. I've got people virtually coming in from India and South Africa and Israel. I mean, anyone who's looking at their current situation right now and saying, this isn't working for me.
Do they need
And
money? Can they come into this community with, say, I don't have any money to invest. Can I invest in flipping houses? Because you hear that all the time.
yeah,
That red herring. And you don't have to have any money to make investments in real estate.
and it's
Is that true?
real. That's true. So wholesaling, the thing that I've really mastered, again, what it is finding an opportunity, right? And so in a very quick definition or explanation of what the business model is, right? So we've all seen these houses in our neighborhoods. The house with the boarded up windows, overgrown lawn, mail is piling up, and we can see it's visibly vacant, right? And
Mhm.
so, or distressed. There's something weird going on in that. But the rest of the block is beautiful, right? So many good things going on there, families, all the stuff. Now, the person who owns that property, they could be out of state, they could be um you know they could have inherited it, it could be an investment that they bought that they no longer want because they had a troubled tenant. There's a plethora of reasons why
Could
this
it be a
house.
foreclosure?
It
Would
could
that
be a
fall into it?
foreclosure. It may, in that case, you'd be working with the bank, so it'd be a little different. But
Mhm.
in whatever that is, this property right now is just, it's sitting and it's not, nobody's doing anything with it. So I teach people how to get a hold of the person who owns that property. And what we do is we negotiate a cash as is price for the house, and we put the house under contract. Now, the beautiful thing about that is that doesn't require really any money. The most money that it requires from you is what's called an earnest money deposit, and that can be anywhere from $10 to like $1,000. And if you find a good enough opportunity, I have people in the community who will even come out of pocket and put the $1,000 up for you and partner with you on the deal if you don't even have access to that, right? But
Wow.
here's the beautiful thing about it. Now that contract, that ability to buy that property is worth something, because if you get that at the right price, that allows for somebody to come in and force appreciation, do a renovation, clean it up, make it beautiful, and they can increase the value of the property and then sell it to a retail home buyer. Now, that forced appreciation, that value gap, that's worth profit to somebody. So let's just say, for instance, somebody has the opportunity to pour $150,000 into the house, renovate it, and maybe after they sell it, they can make $60,000 or $70,000 on their fix and flip. Great. This isn't what I'm teaching people how to do. I'm not teaching people how to fix and flip houses. That's another thing.
Right.
But that investor who fixes and flips the houses, he doesn't have the time to find these opportunities. He's spending his entire day at job sites, picking material, working with his trades, doing all these things. He doesn't have the time to go out and find the deals. And so I call the guy up and I say, hey, Mr. Investor, I know you fix and flip houses. I've seen some of your projects on the open market. You do a beautiful job. I have a house that I think you would want. It's right near a project that you've done in the past. And I will sell you my contract. And here are the pictures. Here's the address. Let me know what you think. They go drive by, they look at it, and they say, I like it. And I like the price you're selling it to me at. I'll take it. Now, the beautiful thing is I just assign the contract. All I do is use a document to assign the contract to that buyer. Now, I step out of the deal. And usually what I'll get for doing that is around $10,000. So that investor, he forgoes $10,000 of his future profit margin to me so that I can make money for the process of putting it all together. The person who had that house that was in distress gets all of their money, right? Because I buy it at a cash price. They get paid. I make a little fee. That person gets to go and beautify the home. And we do that over and over and over again. So
I love the way you explain that.
You don't need any money to do it because I'm never closing on the house. Right now, me personally, I do close on them sometimes because I also fix and flip myself. But doing this business allows me to pick those real juicy diamonds, right? The ones that I'm just like, oh, this one is right down the street from my house. It would be so easy for me to do. I'm going to do this one. And then, I just sell the others.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest challenge is for people when they do this, they enter this? What's their biggest fear and challenge in doing this? It sounds so easy, so profitable, so riskless. But what would be
I think the biggest challenge for people is the conversations, right? What do I say? What do I say to the homeowner? Or if I'm working with a realtor, what do I say to the real estate agent? And how if I figure out what to say, how do I know how much to offer? How do I figure out the numbers, right? I need to understand the numbers. And so that's where the education comes in, right? I'm really good at teaching people how to understand the numbers. And I can do that really quickly, right? So once you wrap your head around the numbers, the contracts and the documents, that stuff is easy. Getting the numbers is one thing. And then being able to have the courage to pick up the phone and talk to the homeowner or pick up the phone and talk to the real estate agent, that is another part that needs to be practiced. Yeah. So that's where people get fear in this entire equation.
Right. So your knowledge and your community, it sounds like a massive amount of support. I'm a big advocate for community support, calling in the right community. And I think in the right community, unbelievable things can happen and thrive. How can people find you? I know you do AstroFlipping. I know you've got your communities. There's a couple of different things. How can they find you? How can they work with you? How can they,
Well, I would say if you want to consume me in small doses, then you can go to Instagram. It's just at @JDamji, at JDAMJI. If you want to consume me in larger doses and really understand what I do, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Jamil Damji, JAMIL DAMJI. And if you really are like, I like this guy, I want to work with him, you can go to our website, which is go.astroflipping.com, and book a call with somebody on my team and join the community. It's really, there's so many ways to learn and do things. And I think, the knowledge is all there. There's no gate, right? Like I haven't said, hey, I'm going to charge you for the knowledge. No, I give all the knowledge away for free.
You have never
The
felt like a gatekeeper to me. You've always
no,
felt like
yeah,
this is so embracing and open, and that's why I lean in, and it's so attractive what you do. And we'll
thank
make
you.
sure that everyone gets the links and we'll and your bio and your website, and we're going to put it all out there because
I
I think
appreciate
this
that.
is well, I just think this is a great way for people that are struggling and they think it's too late or they can't do it, where they can learn something new and perhaps change their story, their financial story as well.
Yeah,
And I think that you go out with the mindset and the support that people need. It cannot just be the knowledge. It has to
no,
be the
it's got to be some knowledge, and it's got to be,
yeah,
I
emotional.
think success is an inside job. And if
Yeah.
we look at it like, oh, as long as I know the words and I know the numbers, I'm going to be successful. Well, yeah, you will. If you look at it from a Newtonian physics way, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a numbers game, of course.
Yeah.
Call enough people, make enough offers, you'll get a deal. But the reality is how do I make it even easier? Well, if we look at the way science operates, like attracts like.
Yeah.
So if you can make yourself inside feel like the deal closer, feel like the person who is making it happen, who's solving the problems, who's
Yeah.
connecting the dots and really crushing it. And if you can make yourself feel like that every single morning, watch how your day unfolds. And it doesn't matter if you're doing real estate, it doesn't matter if you're selling makeup, it doesn't matter if you're, fixing cars. If you can do that to your internal state, watch how your day unfolds. It is insane.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's the best advice that on across the board that anybody can have. That if you do that every day, watch it unfold. Okay, last question. Jamil, what feels like love in your life right now?
Oh, um, I think the thing to me that feels like love the most in my life right now is my dog. I,
Oh my
I,
gosh, I love Henry. I love
yeah,
Henry. I want
I,
that dog.
he, he's, he is the best. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm a newly single guy, right? And so I'm learning myself after a 15-year relationship. Love my ex. She's an incredible human being, but I'm alone now. I'm by myself now, and I'm starting to have to navigate the world, alone and see these things. And I love it. I'm really enjoying getting to know myself more, understanding myself better. But the one thing that I have when I wake up in the morning is this big, furry, beautiful, incredibly cute dog that's just there waiting for me to wake up and hang out with him, right? And I get to take him on walks, and he's just so happy when I get home. And like for real, I could just spend the rest of my life with that pup and be happy as a clam because he's just like the most joy. And I know that's maybe an immature thing to say, but
Oh gosh,
just
no.
I'm obsessed with this thing. He's the best. I love
No,
him.
no, that's your heart anchor. That's your heart. He's healing with you. He's there for a reason. We
Yeah.
call this in, but I love that. I love that. Thank you for joining me today. I
Oh, of
love spending
course.
time with you.
Likewise.
This
Likewise.
is I think it's just so much rich information for my community, but I love selfishly spending time with you too. And it's
Thank
just
you,
great
Dana.
having you
Like
here.
I do as well. And hey, if you're out there listening to this right now and you're thinking, um, you know, I'm scared or I don't know what to do next, just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath and give yourself a second and see what happens.
And that's why I love you. That was a beautiful ending. That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Jamal. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.